Welcome to Delingpole, a Breitbart.com podcast. Here is the podcast host, James Delingpole.
Welcome to the Delingpole podcast with me, James Delingpole, and my guest. Yeah, you can guess who it is. It's Dick Delingpole.
We're back in Dick's kitchen in Worcester.
Yeah, we are.
And I'm not special still.
You're still...
And as we speak, you are being snooted by one of my lovely lurchers.
Yeah, no, you're
you
bloody
love
dogs.
so much. Oh, look into those eyes.
Yeah, they're the eyes of evil, and it's just...
Orca.
All it wants to do is bite, and
they
it smells
they love you.
They don't. Those dogs have no love in them at all. They're savage killers. They're not like...
That is actually true. They have they've taken out a squirrel lately, which was we're very proud of.
I mean, my dog's a killer too, but it's a loving killer.
What's it killed?
It's a soppy killer. Oh, loads of shit. I mean, it's killed... Oh, my God.
What?
Do you know what it did?
No, what did it do?
It killed...
Are you going to get into trouble for telling me what it's killed?
It's so sad.
Was it a local child?
No. It wasn't a local child.
No.
But it did make me sad. We were walking through the woods, and the dog got something, and we weren't sure what, and it started making pitiful squealing noises, of something that really didn't want to be killed, and it wasn't your rabbit or anything like that. It was something much more complicated than that, and finally I saw what it was.
Oh no, what was it? This is a build-up.
It was a baby badger.
Oh no!
Yes, it was. It was baby, and you know, big badgers are actually quite sort of rubbish looking. I mean, they've got sort of, they're all grey and kind of.
They're quite fearsome. A full-grown badger is like a bear.
They've got terrible, savage jaws. Yes, that's true. But the baby badgers, their stripes, the black and white, are really clear and they're lovely.
Look, you're breaking my heart here.
This
is horrible.
When I found its body, I felt really, really sad. And, well, haven't we started the show
well, you're
on
the
a downer?
You're the one who's talking about...
You brought your sodding dogs into the recording area, excuse me, into the recording zone.
The kitchen, as we call it around here.
Does our American listener, the special American friend... do you think how do you think they relate to this particular conversation? Do you think it sounds weird, English people, or is it kind of...
I think endearingly weird, possibly.
Because I can tell you, Dick, actually, that I was at, before we move on to whatever the agenda you prepared for me, I was at the Battle of Ideas at the weekend.
Tell me about the Battle of Ideas. Actually, I want to know, because I've seen it written about. I didn't know exactly what it was.
I was on a panel. We were talking about the internet, about social media. So that's quite appropriate, given our Twitter show that everyone's talking about.
One we were meant to be doing the other day, but had to be cancelled because you're so busy.
Because I'm so busy. Don't distract me with your barbs. So I was on this panel, and it was quite interesting. I was invited, it turns out, by these two club promoters who organise these raves in warehouses in East London, like we used to go to back in the day, and they actually wanted me on the panel. Apparently, they were asking questions of the organiser, Claire Fox. They were saying, "Has he said yes yet? Will he come? Will he come?" They actually wanted me. I know. Are
they youngsters or
32?
Right.
So youngsters.
That counts as a youngster these days.
Counts as a youngster, but also cool clubbing folk. The club's called Block. I think everyone who is of clubbable age should go to Block as a reward for their liking me. So I was on the panel, and we were talking about whether Twitter was a good thing or not. And I said, well, do you know what I said? I said that social media is like the mob, and the mob is us. So when you hate social media, you're effectively hating us, because the mob, when it smiles on you, it can raise you up. It raises you up like Julius Caesar, like Donald Trump, like Gary Lineker, who used to be a crisp salesman before he became...
I have heard of him.
A social justice warrior on Twitter, and suddenly he became this really famous person. Another one, an author, struggling author.
Yeah, who's that?
J.K. Rowling. No, she's written a few books, but famous thanks to Twitter.
Right.
Thanks to...
Well, the way I see Twitter and all other social media outlets is that they are probably run by evil people for evil purposes, but they can't do anything about those of us on the side of right and justice.
Oh, they can. They try.
They can, but there was this talk recently of how Trump can't be evicted from Twitter for various reasons, but that they'd love him not to be
if he disobeys their terms and conditions. Do you think he might get banned for a day or something?
Or just put in Twitter prison? What's that thing when they give you your temporary ban? Have you been on one of those before?
I'm not sure. I forget. I've had a Facebook ban.
Yeah,
I've had a Facebook ban. That's quite random. You suddenly realise you can't dial up whatever, tune into your Facebook account anymore.
You can't do certain things.
You can't read your Facebook page.
Really?
No.
So what had you done
It's
wrong?
really scary. I had posted a cartoon, a rude cartoon,
Right.
and that was it.
Oh, right.
It had an
Was it
erect,
rude words
It had an erect penis in it.
Right.
Yeah, but
a drawn one.
Yeah, a drawn one.
Oh, for
yeah, I mean,
goodness sake.
it wasn't hentai or whatever the other forms of pornography, anime. No, what's the?
I'm not an expert.
Okay, yeah. For the purposes of this, you're not. So, what is the cartoon porn? Because you can go watch pornography with cartoon
Well, I know a lot of
characters.
anime goes.
It is
porno.
anime, isn't it?
Yeah, but anime in itself is an innocent thing, but
Right.
it has its sort of porny side to it.
So,
My God, haven't we meandered?
This
This is part of the intro.
This is quality meander. This
Quality
this is the most meandering intro. Oh yeah, but the point I wanted to make, just going back to the Battle of Ideas, was this. I made in my introductory speech, I made reference to that. I said, I have a podcast, and people didn't jeer at me or anything. And it turned out that there were about 100 people in the audience, and there were several.
They were the 100 who listened to your podcast.
Yeah. They must have been. There were several in the audience who actually sort of. One woman came up to me afterwards and said she liked my podcast, and about 3 people in the audience said they liked the podcast. Actually, volunteered this information in front of a crowd. They weren't embarrassed to admit it.
Right.
And I was thinking, I'm almost famous.
Well, you know what? I think the podcast, and I know this is ridiculous. This is your brother talking. Obviously, I'm going to like the stuff that you do. But actually, I look forward to Thursdays because that's when it's up there. And I can sit there and a segment of my day I put aside for listening to your podcast while I'm working.
I've just noticed what you're doing, Dick. You're actually not talking into the top of the microphone.
Is that what you got to do?
Yeah.
Into the top?
Yeah. No wonder your sound wasn't going as well as it should be. People are going to be listening to you. You're mumbling and thinking, "Oh God, why didn't this?" One day we're going to get a sound engineer to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah, I was very flattered, and I also thought to myself, "Well, hang on a second. Maybe Breitbart should be paying me twice as much at least."
Well, it must be quite an effort to get
It is.
guest every week
You know
to
what?
go to wherever they are, because I noticed
it's
a
a
lot of the
huge
stuff
hassle.
you've got to be in cafes or wherever you've got to be.
Yeah.
A lot of them has got to be London, which is a bit of a schlep for you from Northants. So it's sort of no wonder you have to fall back to me every now and again.
I won't do it yet. I haven't tried it yet on Skype, because even though the sound quality is quite good, you can't get that visual
No,
interaction.
you covered that with someone else.
You
The
get
fact that
you get a delay almost.
Well, it's not just that; it's just lacking the face-to-face sort of conviviality thing, isn't it?
That.
I mean, I quite like the fact that you can hear plates clinking and the waitress coming
dogs
over,
attacking.
dogs attacking, and
Vicious
you
dogs.
ordering another flat white, and as you did, and this is a segue. This is as you did with your Anne-Marie Waters podcast, which I listened to. Well, Thursday.
Can I tell you an interesting Anne-Marie fact that didn't come across in the interview?
Right.
Anne-Marie was wired, having had that extra flat white she
Yeah.
had, or whatever it was, Americano.
As we witnessed it being ordered.
It was too much.
Yeah?
She'd had too many coffees, and I thought, God, I so would not want Anne-Marie Waters' life or job. She's
No.
just...
As you pointed out, she's a brave lady.
She's brave, and yeah, who wants to be in politics anyway, apart from anything else? I mean, even my friends who are successful at it. Oh,
good
shut
Lord.
up, evil dog.
Well, no, that's our father who's just arrived
right.
back. So that's the early warning. That,
All right.
So this is
The
a domestic
part
scene.
we're recording. I wouldn't want to be a politician. I wouldn't want to be even Gove, who's quite, I mean, he's got a high up job. I don't want to be that.
I've dabbled in it a little bit. I tried to
did.
become a councillor, and for UKIP, and as a result, it was never going to happen. I was never going to win, but I got to take part in the whole democracy thing on a very basic sort of local council level, and I got to be friends with local councillors and. On nodding terms with our local MP, a Tory, and they all know who I am. I know who they are, and basically it's compromise all the way. If you're going to get anywhere, you pretty much can't have any views.
Compromise.
Well, it wasn't going to happen. That's why I never got
You know
anywhere.
what you'd have been, Dick?
What would I have been?
Wonderful
Councillor.
God, the everlasting Father.
I seriously doubt it, but I would not be able to behave in council meetings.
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't be able to resist
people
going
who
for the
are
gags.
good in meetings are congenitally unfit to rule our lives, and yet these are the people who we've discussed.
And
this.
they've got to become councillors before they become MPs, in most cases, but by which time they've had any interest squeezed out of them. They just become the sort of the last people you want ruling our lives.
Totally. Do you know what else I realised from this battle of ideas thing? And it was quite an interesting thing. There was a different response from the crowd than in previous years. Mm-hmm. I could almost say any old shit, and they kind of liked me.
Right.
Or they were well disposed towards me in a way that perhaps crowds haven't been before. Mm-hmm. And what I think has happened in the podcast is that people have been exposed to me like being me, normally as I am, and they've subconsciously absorbed who I really am, as opposed to having this preconceived idea of who I am in their heads and thinking he's a tosser. Or he's a wind-up merchant. Or I think people have this because I've said before about how when people meet me,
they end up quite liking
you.
And
they say to me, "You're so much nicer in real life." ... Well, I can't be responsible for the writing I write because that's how I come across there.
The writing I've seen your life as a writer. You write something, you rip it up, you rewrite it.
No, I don't.
I
don't. I do. I'm a one take, Dick. I've been one take for
okay.
ages. I can't be asked.
I'm thinking about your books, for instance. I mean, how many?
Don't talk about books. 'Cause I haven't done them for a long time.
How many chapters have been destroyed?
Oh yeah. That's certainly true. But generally, I don't think.
But you choose your words really carefully.
I do.
It's a sentence has to be right, and what I'm basically saying is when you're writing, it's polished. It's not just raw off the cuff. You're ruining what I'm saying.
Sorry, okay,
here.
carry on.
Whereas when you're talking, it is genuinely off the cuff. It isn't prepared. It isn't as polished as you're writing. It's going to be more you, isn't it? Warts and all.
Yes. What are you getting at?
What I'm getting at is people who know you only from your writing will not get the complete warts and all.
They think I'm more real.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it real.
Yeah.
And that's why they.
And that's
like
what
me.
you get in the podcast. You get the asides, the unedited, the dogs barking, the father walking in. It's a much more real you and far more relatable as such.
Relatable. That new word that didn't exist when we were younger.
There's a lot of those.
I know. What other words are there?
Well, the other day, the guys at work were starting talking about wireframing things, and
what?
I know, but I think it's a
like an
technical
armature.
term for web building. But you think, wouldn't you? But
yeah.
But no, it's like it's words that were once a thing that are now a verb. So blue skying and wireframing and all this sort of stuff.
Talking of which, sorry, actually not talking of which at all.
Not talking of another meander.
Another meander.
Right.
Would you be good on? Do you watch Eggheads?
No, but I've heard about it. Weren't we invited onto it?
Well, no, you don't get invited onto it. I basically know Jeremy Vine.
You're always on there, aren't you?
I've never been on Eggheads.
No, on Jeremy Vine's
show.
Yeah.
But I said to him, look, if I put together a team, can I get it on the show? And he said, yeah, well, you apply to the producer and you put together you've got to put together a team first.
Right.
But would you be rubbish at general knowledge?
No. Be all right.
Would you?
I'd be good at the unexpected question.
You'd be good at the
didn't-
sports round, wouldn't you? That's the problem. We need we need a ringer.
Yeah.
Maybe the ringer is listening to this. I need a ringer, a sports ringer.
Yeah. We don't
Somebody
really
who's really,
know
really good at
people
sport.
who know or like sport.
No. What does that say about us?
With Delingpoles. Sport for us
Yes.
is like our mother and her addiction to golf.
Yeah.
And what sport did we do at school? Cross
Cross-country.
Yeah, I mean, that was the ultimate outsider's sport.
Losers, sad, lonely.
We were good at
wankers
it,
sport.
but
yeah, we were.
It is essentially
It's about
the
stamina.
stamina. It is the wanker's sport in a way, though, isn't it? Quite literally.
It is
All about doing it
we
on your
didn't
own.
We didn't like being team games. We weren't very good at it, were we?
No.
What does that
Always
say?
picked last for every single sport.
We were such spazzes. Mm-hmm. There's a word you can't use
You
anymore.
can't say spaz
You
anymore.
can't.
I use it liberally at work, and they all wince visibly.
Do they?
Yeah, they don't like it.
Yeah, I was. There was something. I get ticked off occasionally by my children for saying. I mean, it's not like they're exactly PC, but sometimes they say that I can't say things because they're too much. But I
So
suppose,
some things are so beyond the pale now that we would have thought.
And
it
we
was
can't
quite-
say them.
No. So
that's the end of that session. So what we're going to do on this podcast after this? Wow,
What's
I'm
that?
looking at the time, and the intro has
The intro alone.
almost has been as long as the first segment.
you know what? I can almost hear the American voice giving you an ad for something.
Yeah, but and there is our special friend,
Yeah.
who is a special friend of many parts, as we know, and sometimes the special friend tells me, I really don't like the Dick stuff. No, I can't believe people say that.
No,
he wouldn't say that.
Nonsense.
He or she, Z. But for every person who dislikes meandering crap, I think there's thousands
Thousands.
Zulus, thousands of them. Who really love it. So just given that you're effectively the producer of this particular episode, apart from the bit where you spoke badly into the microphone,
Yeah.
just tell me what we've got in store.
Well, we're about to go out for a curry where I will make a few more notes because we do want to play the yes/no name game. It's become the cornerstone of the Dick and James show.
It's become the cornerstone of everything. It's the most popular item on the show. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to talk to you about your previous 10 podcasts because you know the rundown and that alone ends up taking up a whole section because inevitably we start off thinking about a subject and the meandering
There will be
just takes
I
over.
think one thing we can guarantee: there will be so much meandering, more meandering than you can shake a stick at.
Well, do you really want me to ruin what we've got lined up by telling you now? Because we might not actually cover those subjects in the end. You might poo-poo them as you so often do.
5 miles meandering with a mazy motion, through Wooden Dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and
Are you paraphrasing?
and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean.
That's not how Kubla Khan goes, is it?
I think it is.
Is that exactly as it is?
Yeah. How about that, eh?
Well, yeah, but you did do a degree in English at Oxford.
Yeah,
should know
you
that
don't
sort of
actually
shit.
have to learn the poems.
But you
You
did.
learn quotes.
Right.
No, I've learned all this stuff. Do you not know about my poetry learning?
Yeah, you've been learning stuff.
I've been
As a-
learning stuff. Do you know what I've been learning recently? In fact,
on, tell
do you know
me.
what I've been learning the whole wretched year?
What?
I've been learning the first of the quartets, of the 4 quartets, Burnt Norton by T.S. Eliot.
Right.
And
This has just gone way over my head.
Okay, when you learn one of Shakespeare's sonnets, you've got 14 lines. Mm-hmm. You know, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? You're sorted.
Yeah.
It's the first one I learned was Andrew Marvell's To His Coy Mistress. Had a wee bit world enough and time. This coyness lady were no crime. And although it's quite long, because it's sort of he cares about things like scansion and rhyming. It's cool. Mm-hmm. When you get to T.S. Eliot doesn't have rhymes or stuff, and it's really hard. It's taken me a whole bloody year, and I still haven't finished it.
Right. But is it worthwhile in the end? Is anyone going to be impressed
There
with
are,
it?
no. I'm thinking, how many people are there out there who've memorised by heart Burnt Norton? I would have thought passing
count them on the
few.
fingers of one frostbitten hand.
And actually, do you know what? I'm still a fail because there was a Greek epigraph at the beginning, and I haven't learned the Greek epigraph.
Is that a bit like reading the crap bit at the end of War and Peace?
Yeah.
That you
well,
don't need to do it to get the general
learning
gist.
War and Peace, that would be
Yeah, that would be quite a thing, but possibly you would be the only one.
Now, do you think we should go for our curry?
Well, we've got the table booked for 7:30, so I think we should probably set off shortly.
Okay.
And I'm hungry. My
I'm
family
hungry.
is hungry.
I'm hungry.
Our father is hungry.
Yep.
And also hungry for conversation with his beloved sons.
Excellent. Well, there we are. We're sorted. Okay, you're listening to the Delingpole podcast with me, James Delingpole, and my guest, Dick Delingpole. More after the curry.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about Breitbart News' Second Amendment newsletter, Downrange with AWR Hawkins. Features the top gun stories of the week, every week, and guest columnists like Gun Owners of America's Larry Pratt or Armed American Radio's Mark Walters. Also features a review of a firearm or a firearm accessory each week. The newsletter downloads on Thursday, comes right to your email inbox. You can subscribe at breitbart.com/AWR.
This is Delingpole, a Breitbart.com podcast. Here once again is James Delingpole.
Welcome back to the Delingpole podcast with me, James Delingpole, and my guest, Dick Delingpole. Dick, so much has happened.
I know, it's unbelievable really that such an adventure has taken place and such an unpleasant one.
Yeah. Do you want to explain the story?
Well, it pretty rapidly turned to shit the moment we signed off here, quite literally.
Yeah.
Passing up through the garden, we both had a pee before we went.
Yeah.
But our aged P,
Yeah.
our aged
Our
father,
beloved aged
our
P.
beloved aged P, who's doing very well for his years.
Yeah.
He just decided that he could wait until we got into town to have a pee. But then you said, well, you're not going in the bloody garden. He thought you said, why not go in the garden? And so he walked across the pitch black lawn, had a pee.
And then as we were driving off, there was a tremendous smell of,
Dog shit.
dog poo in the car. And we realised that in the dark, he'd trodden in some dog poo. And we drove to the restaurant and parked the car and
Gagging.
realised...
All of us gagging all the way.
Gagging all the way. We were very hungry. But poor old Pa, he's wearing sandals. I don't know
He's
why.
wearing sandals because
In the
he's
winter.
damaged his feet walking in Crete.
Oh, okay. And so there was poo all over one of his feet, on one of his shoes, and we clearly couldn't walk into the restaurant with a Pa
A
holding
smelly old man.
smelly. No, you're so hard on him. It would have been very embarrassing for him to walk holding a shoe covered in poo. So we had to drive back home, and anyway. Here we are. Finally, we're back. We're back to the next stage
Full
of
of
the podcast.
delicious king prawns.
Yeah, it was good.
All's well that ended.
Yeah,
right?
all well.
It was a very nice meal.
It was.
Yeah,
It was fine.
but we're
So-
kind of running kind of late now, aren't we?
Well, we are. So crack on, Dick. What's the next section of the podcast?
I've been wrong-footed now by the whole curry.
I think we're
poo
going to talk
episode.
go through some of the podcasts.
Yeah. Well, I've got a list here, and I
Okay.
think that the way it works out is that I seem to appear every 10 podcasts or so,
Yeah.
and
It should be more. It really should be more because you're
what,
great.
more than 10,
Yeah, you're just
fewer than 10.
every
Okay.
3 podcasts.
Every 3, that would be a bit much. So you've had Christian Niemet, who I loved. I mean, I've known him on Twitter for a while.
German. If you were going to get a Panzer division,
Yeah.
he would be your commander.
And he wasn't remotely offended by that. He thought a little bit bemused, but he put us all right on our pronunciation.
I
of
think-
Panzer.
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 I think the mark of a mensch, for want of a better word, the mark of a good chap is someone who can have the piss taken out of him. And I think that for a German to talk to an English person about the fact that he is German and basically a Nazi tank commander or whatever and joke about it is a really healthy thing.
Completely unfazed by it. But apart from that, he has completely sound opinions anyway. He's a properly libertarian
All the
German.
boys and girls at the Institute of Economic Affairs are very sound.
So we loved him. Next up, you had Brendan O'Neill, who, let's face it, everyone's been waiting for the Brendan one, and that it didn't disappoint. The guy is absolutely sound, despite being an ex-Marxist.
The only person who I think would cause more heads to explode is the Holy Grail, Paul Joseph Watson.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine?
No, that would be like sort of... Well, it would probably cause a break in the space-time continuum.
And it's going to happen. But yeah, no disrespect to Brendan. Brendan was fantastic, and he talks as fluently as he writes. And my goodness, does he write fluently?
Yeah.
I don't know how he manages it. He I say churns out as though they were kind of lackluster things, but his articles are fantastic.
He's one of those people who, when people quote him on Twitter, they have to retweet a screen grab because his paragraphs don't lend themselves well to the 140 character limit.
No, which is why he doesn't do Twitter.
Yeah, because what he has to say can't be condensed that simply. But I mean, he doesn't go for the gags, does he? He's always making a
He's
serious
always making a
and
good argument.
clever point. Next up, you had Dominic Frisby. Dominic came across as charming and affable and completely lovable.
He is charming and affable and completely lovable, and he knows everything there is to know about Bitcoin and sort of trading precious metals, and obviously he's a gold bug. And I'd love it. The question I haven't asked Dominic, or I probably have, but I haven't sort of got a satisfactory answer, and I'm not sure I'd want it anyway. I bet he's made more money than me.
Well, all these people who you've been talking to, because you also had Evil Knievel, Simon
Corkwell, who was a short trader. Now, I've been dabbling in a bit of short trading, and I think
short trading is basically gambling on something going down in price. Yeah?
It is, and somebody said to me that Facebook was a good short, and so I duly shorted Facebook, and it went up a bit, and then it went down, and I was sort of about 30 quid in profit, and then it started going up again. And I tell you, the problem with short trading is that your losses are potentially limitless, because as long as the company goes on, the share price goes on increasing. I mean, imagine if you'd listened to all the people who said, "Oh, Amazon's never going to take off.
Yeah.
It's just, look at their business model. I mean, they're not making a profit." Or you could say that about all the big tech companies, about Facebook, about Twitter. Actually, you'd have been right on Twitter. I looked at Twitter's share price, and it has fallen from about 3,500 2 years ago to it's currently trading at about 1,700. And I know because I started shorting Twitter,
Right.
and I made like 10 quid until somebody said I wouldn't recommend Twitter because as a short, because they're ready for a takeover. But you see what the world I've been sucked into. But anyway, the point I was going to make about Twitter is that a company's value can go up and up, whereas if you're the other way, if you're long, you can only lose the value of the company.
I get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that basically these people aren't going to tell you how much they earn, are they? They're too canny.
I kind of don't want to know.
No.
I think if we knew how unsuccessful and impoverished we are relative to all our more successful friends, I think we would actually kill ourselves, and that would be sad.
It would be sad. It would be a sad loss, especially for our children, who are kind of relying on us
Well,
somewhat.
not that sad. Do you get the impression that you're?
I think the dogs would miss me.
Yeah, the dog. Do you know what though? We were talking about this with our dog today.
Yeah.
If one fell over and died,
You tried it with your dog, didn't you? You lay down
I didn't
as if
die.
dead. No, but you lay
Yeah,
down
I
as
did-
if
I did-
dead
I
to
did.
see what Daisy would do.
yes, I did.
And what did she do? She wandered off, didn't she? Kind of nonchalantly.
Yes, I think she
looking
did.
for baby badgers.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Or some other cute animal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the list. Remind me who Ben Irvin was.
Ben Irvin. Ben is the philosopher.
Oh, right.
Ben,
Yeah.
Cambridge educated philosopher, who used to be a socialist,
Mm-hmm.
and I think partly got turned by his girlfriend,
All right, good on
which is a
her.
very strange thing to happen, because normally the girl in the relationship is left wing, because girls.
More of that in a bit, because I've got a point I wanted to make.
I'm excited about that.
Well, it comes up to the next guest,
Okay,
Laura Perrins.
Laura Perrins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sound?
Of
course she is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and she
And she's a
is
girl.
in possession of full female parts.
She's totally.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There you go. And born where? Dublin.
That's the weird thing. Dublin.
Dublin,
One
okay.
associates Dublin with so much leftiness.
Anne-Marie Waters. Sound as a pound.
Dublin.
Born where?
Dublin.
Now, can you think of a man who was born in Dublin? Someone to do with Twitter?
Bono.
No.
No. Oh. But Jesus. What? The most horrible person on Twitter.
The
So it is.
person.
The worst person on Twitter.
Recently, apparently departed Twitter, which is you'd think would boost
Although
the share price.
someone has stolen his Twitter avatar
Have they?
cartoon, and I keep seeing it. I keep thinking he's still there.
gives you
It's
that
like
cold shudder.
It's a bit like the Terminator coming back. You know, where you think it's dead. And
Yeah. But anyway, two completely sound women from Dublin.
That's
and
quite unlikely, isn't it?
A distinctly unsound man from Dublin. So don't come on this sort of women are normally not the sound ones, because that was a little observation I had, and I had to do a little bit of finding out, or research as some people call it,
Just
on Tinternet, and found out they were both all three of them born in Dublin.
Just on a side note, I know I don't normally digress.
No, we try to avoid the whole
we
meandering
at all
thing.
costs. But two places in the world where they like a drink and they should be fun and they should be down to earth, you would think. Ireland, Dublin, and Australia.
Right.
And I would say that Ireland and Australia, well, metropolitan Ireland, that is, rather than kind of the sticks, seem to produce some of the grisliest, whiniest, most tofu-eating left liberals anywhere in the world. They are so whiny, unbelievable.
We've got some pretty good right-on friends on Twitter from
They're not right
from
on.
Ireland.
No,
Yeah,
opposite.
we've got some good ones.
No, that's not right on. That's the opposite of right on.
No. Sorry. Okay, not right on. Yeah. Sorry.
Bang on.
Bang
What
on.
marvellous people.
Yeah,
Yes, I know. I know.
yeah.
You know, I'm going to Ireland. I'm going to Dublin.
You've been. This is why the plea for your Twitter
Yes.
followers to get in touch with you, a list which you promptly lost.
I'm going to
and
get.
then
I'm going to get eaten alive. I tell you.
by what?
By social justice warriors.
All right.
Unless my home is. Oh, bye, Father.
Bye, Father.
Thank you for the curry.
My pleasure. It smells beautiful.
Oh, good. He's wiped down the car. So that's thank God for that. Okay. So
Yeah.
that was real life.
You're
passing by.
passing through. You're going to Dublin.
Yeah.
And you're meeting up with some of our mutual Twitter
I'm
friends.
looking forward. I'm looking forward to going to Dublin. I'm looking forward to having proper Guinness that takes like an hour to.
I think you
sits
better
on
order
the
it
bar.
now. It takes a long time.
It takes so long. It does taste better, I think. Thank yes, the car key would help. Thank you, Father. How annoying would that have been?
The touch after what we've been through tonight.
Yeah, after the hell we've been. It was like being in Da Nang.
I knew you were going to say
Did
it.
you?
I knew it was going to be a Vietnam reference.
It's going to be Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Your go-to trauma.
It's my go-to trauma place. What's the opposite of a special place?
It's a not safe space.
Not safe space. So, what we're we talking about?
We're talking about Dublin.
Dublin. Yeah. So I'm going to drink Guinness, and the last time I went to Dublin was many, many, many years ago, and I went out drinking with an Irish journalist called Paddy Clancy. And I have a very weak head for alcohol, and
We're both pretty shit when it comes to taking
rubbish,
our booze.
absolute rubbish. I mean, we drink like Americans. We're that bad.
Harsh.
Well, no, come on, no,
Right.
almost as bad. And I think I had 6 pints of Guinness, something like that. Now, I'm anybody's after 2 pints. I really 1.5 pints is my optimum for playing darts. My optimal level is about 1.5 pints. When I developed these skills I didn't know I had, loosens me up. But beyond that, I'm hopeless. And my bottom fell out. It was horrible. You don't want that.
What?
Well,
Where did the bottom bit come from? What, because of the Guinness?
yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I know.
Well, that's a great story. That's
Yeah.
nice.
All right.
Thank you for sharing.
There's a theme. There's a theme, isn't there?
Do you know my Dublin story?
Tell me your Dublin story.
I went to art college, as you know, in Belfast for
You
a
did?
year. Did my MA there.
So you did,
But
so you did.
when I moved up there, at the time, I drove a Harley.
Yeah.
I had a Harley Davidson Sportster. The gayest Harley going, pretty
Yeah.
much. But there you have it. It was a Harley all the same.
Yeah.
And I'd heard that the Hells Angels in Dublin were unusual for Hells Angels in that they would welcome anyone. They were friendly and chatty, and you could approach them easily. So driving through Dublin, I saw all these Harleys outside a pub.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that'll be the local Hells Angels. I'm going to go in there and become their friend. So I parked up alongside all their Harleys, went in, and identified them, and they were there with their girlfriends looking all grisly and growling. They had the German helmets on and that sort of stuff. And so I sat near-ish to them thinking, they're going to come over and say, would you fancy coming out for a drink with us? We're the friendly Hells Angels from Dublin you'll have heard about. And of course, it didn't happen. And I drank this Guinness very slowly and absolutely gutted. One by one, they filed out. So I'm thinking, well, that could have been so great. When one of them walks back in and he goes, "Is that your Harley out there?" A bit of a Northern Irish accent there, sorry.
No,
Anyway,
that's okay.
and I said, yes. He said, well, why didn't you come over and say hello? We're off to another pub. Do you want to join us? And with that, they took me up into the hills above Dublin to a pub that they were frequenting. And I had the best night ever with these Hells Angels. They were buying me drink after drink, bought me a load of Guinness, took me back to their place for a smoke. It was phenomenal. And they were every bit as friendly as I'd heard. And I became mates with the Dublin Hells Angels that night. And it was awesome.
That story turned out not how I was expecting.
Well, there you go.
It's not as funny as
No,
it's
but kind of
really,
awesome.
Really charming.
Yeah.
And I like the accent there. Well done, Dick. That
thanks.
was really good.
So here's to the Dublin Hells
To-
Angels. What a lovely
here-
bunch of guys. I hope they're still just as lovely. But they welcomed a foreigner on a shiny new Harley. I must have come across as a bit.
You
of
hadn't
a
even
twat.
had the baffles taken out or anything like that.
Had
were you?
nothing done to it.
No.
It was straight out of the factory. No slash cut exhaust or anything like that. But yeah, they
So, without further ado, we're going to dedicate this section of the podcast to the Dublin
Hells Angels, whatever their chapter is called.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So next section. What else are we talking about?
We'd pretty much gone through your entire list of sound people.
Right.
We didn't mention Neil Monnery, architect of prosperity.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I just.
And I learned more about Sir John Cooperthwaite than I'd ever known before. So Hong Kong and all that.
Not too much information, I hope, on John Cooperthwaite. I hope you were happy with that information.
No, absolutely.
Because
great information.
just
Hong
on-
Kong is a shining example of how places can work.
I'll tell you what really interested me about in the aftermath of reading that book and talking to the author and writing about Cooperthwaite in The Spectator. And what really has shocked me is just how many people who ought to be of our persuasion, people who identify as conservatives or whatever, are keen to dismiss the possibility that the economic methods used by Cooperthwaite would ever work anywhere else in the world. They always want to make the argument that Hong Kong is a special case and that there are, for example, that the Hong Kong government owns so much land that it can afford to have taxes low and stuff. And it's complete nonsense. I've looked into it. The actual share of the economy, of the exchequer, taken by property income under Cooperthwaite was around 2%. So, in other words, their surplus was way more than they were taking from land sales and property rentals. So it's a complete nonsense. Cooperthwaite actually So we're talking about Sir John Cooperthwaite, the Treasury Secretary in Hong Kong, who turned it into the tremendous success, and he just practiced fiscal responsibility. He practiced good housekeeping. Basically, don't spend more than you earn.
Mm-hmm.
If only we could learn. If only I could learn that.
We're about to face. I don't know how inevitable do you think Corbyn's coronation is? I know it's an awful thing to think about.
Look, I think that the current Conservative, I use the word advisedly, government are making they might as well open the gates and say, enter in, red hordes. We've had enough of Western civilization. You come and
we've
give the
given
barbarians
conservatism
a
a really good shot.
Yeah.
But I think your time is coming.
Yeah. I mean, socialism, we've been trying to give you a watered-down socialism. I think it's time that you gave us the real thing.
Now you're just about ready with the very nastiest brand thereof.
Yeah.
I met recently a Momentum person.
I've met them.
And they do this sort of Soviet, what's it called, double talk thing, double speak. It's sort of that, the lies that they speak as truths by spinning it in a certain way, and it was sinister and scary. And I had to kind of be polite to this guy because I didn't want to get into a fight. But I was saying, you guys are doing really well. You're really pulling your party up by the bootstraps, aren't you? And I said, but I have my reservations. What's all this about deselecting members who aren't Momentum members and ousting them from the party? He said, all we're doing is giving our party members an opportunity to exercise their constitutional rights, and that's the way they see things. That they describe a way that honestly, my skin crawls when I think of the sort of people who are about to enter Parliament. And what have we got to protect us but Theresa May and her absolutely useless government? It absolutely fills me with despair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to bring the podcast down to the misery of dog shit in the back of the car and killing baby badgers again, but it ranks alongside.
It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse. If you killed every baby badger in the world, it still would not be as bad.
And forever drove around with dog shit in the backseat of your car.
It still would not be as bad as it's going to be when Corbyn and his Red Horde gets in and they ruin Britain forever. You're listening to the Delingpole podcast with me, James Delingpole, and my guest, Dick Delingpole. More in a moment.
Sonny Johnson brings her cutting-edge conservative commentary to SiriusXM Patriot every week on Sonny's Corner.
I didn't learn conservatism from Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, or Mark Levin. No conservative showed up in my school, my neighborhood, or anywhere in my intellectual orbit. I got all my conservatives from my unknowing but conservative principle-practicing family and hip-hop.
Sonny's Corner, every Saturday at noon East on Breitbart News Saturday. SiriusXM Patriot 125.
This is Delingpole, a Breitbart.com podcast. Here once again is James Delingpole.
Welcome back to the Delingpole podcast with me, James Delingpole, and my guest, Dick Delingpole. Dick's just asked me a question. What was the question, Dick?
Do you want to talk about 2000 AD?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid it's not good news. After years and years and years of reading 2000 AD, I've cancelled my subscription.
No.
Yeah.
You've been a subscriber since, through me.
Through you.
You've been a subscriber since Prog 1.
Pretty much. I mean, you started at Prog 1, I probably kicked in at about 50, and I've been reading it pretty much ever since. So that's what year did it start? So 75 or something ridiculous like that. And, I've stuck with it through thick and thin. When I met my wife, she was already a fan of 2000 AD. So
otherwise, she wouldn't become your wife.
No. And we read it together. The progs would stack up. I'd read them. She'd read them. Following the comings and goings of the likes of Judge Dredd and
Strontium Dog and Nemesis with his incomprehensible drawings of ornate things happening, but you weren't sure what.
DR and Quinch, other creations of Alan Moore, and all the great and the good of the comics world, including our mutual friend, of course, have passed through the pages of 2000 AD, the galaxy's greatest comic. But little by little, I've been just simply not looking forward to my prog arriving, thinking, there's no story there that's really got me looking forward to the delivery of the next prog. And I eventually started questioning, why am I even paying for this? And little by little, the story started showing signs that what Anne-Marie Waters was calling the slow march through the institutions...
No, they've captured it.
Has 2000 AD has fallen. So I was reading some of the forums attached to 2000 AD, and this has been under discussion, the politicisation of 2000 AD. Now, those who defend it are saying, it's always been political. Don't you think Judge Dredd has always been a reflection on authoritarianism? Yeah,
in the same way that my bottom is political. I mean, sorry to bring my bottom
the
again,
bottom that dropped out in Dublin.
But
so, obviously, everything is about politics one way or another, and a comic is going to be a reflection of its times. But we're talking about, let me give you an example. There's a story called Grey Suit, okay, which is essentially about genetically enhanced super spy MI5 types, kind of like an Uber James Bond. But imagine sort of MI5 is full of these chaps, and they're like the Men in Black kind of thing.
Right.
So in the latest story on this, our main grey suit chap has decided to turn against his evil public school educated masters who are running the government. And it's just...
Are they really toffee-nosed?
It's crappy sixth
form... Do they have bowler hats?
Yes. Do they have bowler hats? I brought down a probe.
Oh my God, I was being sarcastic.
No, they've all got...
Do they have OE ties?
Well, you can't tell because
I've been criticised for mentioning Eton too many times, but so that's for the listener who criticised me for that. Take that.
That'll show him.
That'll show him.
Let me show you. Oh God, this is. I can't look. That's them.
Oh
now,
my God!
The quality of the artwork isn't great.
It's pretty poor, isn't it?
I mean, look at this chap. He's so badly drawn, and yet these are top 2000 AD artists, and the bloody writer is Pat Mills, who is one of the greats. And so I'm thinking, well, apparently he doesn't give a damn. He is quite political, and if you don't like it, you can F off, basically.
Who I follow who follows me on Twitter?
Who's that?
Brendan McCarthy.
Right, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Another great name from this once great order.
I told him to follow you. I don't think he has he?
Possibly he won't now, will he? Okay, so that's one of the stories that, I mean, a lot of people on the forum were saying, this really is shit. It really isn't very well drawn. It's not very well written. It's embarrassingly basic on the politics. Another one is called, funnily, another Grey Area, which is like a futuristic border force / immigration detention centre for aliens.
And are they treated badly?
Well, they try to do their best to let these lovable aliens who, let's face it, just want to settle on planet Earth.
Yeah.
They do their best to keep back the bad ones, but mostly they'll always cut corners to try and let them in. And there are these baddies within the border force.
Who don't want the aliens to be there.
They're known as the Gestalt Right. You get that? Gestalt Right.
They're not.
Yes.
They're called the Gestalt Right. Okay. Yeah. And so am I right in thinking that none of these aliens are ever going to come and blow up?
To be fair, some of them do. Some of them are baddies, and there's nice big fights, and they keep them out, and they save planet Earth several times. But there was an episode recently where they managed to save an entire shipload of refugee aliens by bending the rules slightly and letting them in. And the Gestalt Right guy was absolutely livid about it.
I bet he was. Was he shaking his fists and saying, if it hadn't been for those pesky... Yeah.
And the squad that we follow are a beautiful sort of mix of alien and human, gay and straight, black and white. It's all just so obvious.
I'm so depressed. But well, I mean, not really depressed. Not as depressed as I was at the end of the last section. But how long has 2000 AD been going for?
Well, what would
Actually,
1975 make
we're
it?
quite old.
We're quite old. Yeah,
And we were watching.
40 years, I think.
Oh, right. So it is quite. So it's probably had its day. I mean,
It's had its day several times, and it's come back.
Right.
But this time,
But I think this
I'm
time-
not going to be with it.
No.
And you know, I've got better things to read.
So
So
that's just the daughter. Hang on. Hello.
is this going in?
We'll be there in about 15 minutes. No more. No less. They can't be any quicker than that 'cause I'm doing a podcast. Won't be long, darling. See you soon. Bye-bye. Right.
So all that's going in, is it?
Well,
chat
and
with
it
daughter.
depends on whether they edit it out. It might be the
They,
sort
they
of
tend not to.
IRL stuff.
What's
IRL?
that? What's IRL?
In real life.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, we were going to do... Oh, you know what we're going to do?
No, I didn't write any.
No.
We didn't make up any more names. No.
Oh, no. This is going to be the first ever.
Well, I tell you what, though. Instead of the yes/no game,
Yeah.
let's talk about TV,
Oh, yeah.
because you're part TV critic. It's one of your things. You're supposed to be.
I've got many heads. I
Yeah.
like more heads than the Hydra.
Well, the your TV critic side.
Yeah.
I'm normally the one recommending things to you. Yeah. I think I got you onto Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think you probably did.
Yeah. You got me onto Stranger Things, I think.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have Netflix for ages, and I've now got Netflix, and I'm loving having Netflix. This isn't sponsored by Netflix, incidentally, although if they do want to send us a load of money, they should not hold back.
They have got the money.
Well, yeah.
They totally have. Netflix should do the James and Dick show. They
How
should.
good would that be?
It would be so good.
Marriage made in heaven.
It would be.
So what I'm watching at the moment, you asked me over the curry, actually. What should I be watching? That
Yeah.
I'm not? Well, the things I like, Stranger Things, Walking Dead, and Narcos are the three main things I watch at the moment. Now, you never really got onto Walking Dead? Or did you get so far with it?
I have. I'm sure we've talked about my Walking Dead thing.
Oh, you binged on it
I've
heavily.
got.
For how long?
Unfortunately, I've got a wife who doesn't like zombies. She thinks that they're just like stupid and horrible and
And yet,
bloodthirsty.
Walking Dead is so not about
zombies.
the zombies.
I mean, apart from vampires, which are my favourite horror creature, zombies are very, very close second. And I like the way that they move at just the right pace to be able to be problematic if they're in hordes.
Twisted your ankle or something.
Or when they're in hordes. The ones in World War Z, they move too
ridiculous,
fast.
yeah.
They move so fast.
Yeah.
The way they come over the walls
And
of,
climb
of,
over
of
each
Israel
other and that sort of
because
stuff.
they let the
Yeah,
Palestinians
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Did you get that bit in that film? That was good. But no, I'm at the stage where the people. You see, this is how far back I am. I'm at the stage where they've just started to see the people with the things carved in their foreheads.
Right, okay, yeah.
And I know that it's going to kick off. I know really bad stuff's going to happen, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I only get to watch Walking Dead when I'm ill.
Right.
When I take to my bed and I go up with my computer and I watch in bed.
It's almost worth getting ill
When
for.
yeah, but you say that. When I broke my ribs and my collarbone fox hunting.
When you very nearly became Walking
when
Dead
I,
yourself.
When I nearly became Walking Dead myself. Well, in fact, it's possibly... that was when my pulmonary embolism was developing while I was watching Walking
God.
Dead. So quite literally, I would have been turning into a zombie as I watched The Walking Dead. How something is
Poetic.
that? How poetic is that? Yeah.
Well, the latest series is looking good as ever. But I mean, the thing to know about Walking Dead is it's not about the zombies. The zombies are completely incidental to it. It's how you'd survive post-apocalypse. And your biggest threat is other humans, which is why Negan is so supremely evil.
Negan, you see, I didn't
fantastic.
even know his name, and now I do, and I know that
he's
Negan-
great.
Okay, so
Narcos.
I
love
turn you on to
Narcos.
that.
Yeah,
Isn't it
absolutely love it. And it's another one that the wife is happy to watch with as well. We love it.
What season are you on?
Only just finished season 1. Started season 2.
So I don't want to spoil what happens to Pablo Escobar.
Right.
You don't want to know, Dick. 'Cause are you quite fond of him? I mean, even though he's an evil killer, well, he's not even evil, is he? Yes.
I don't know. There's a lot of scenes where, for instance, that they've just been shooting the prostitutes on his orders, and just lining them up and
Puta.
bullet in the back of the head. Is that
Yes. I don't know. I
just
don't
because
speak Spanish,
one of
but I'm
them
guessing.
might have been blabbing, but
Yes.
and meanwhile
But you
he's
have to, Dick,
dancing with his wife.
If your prostitute's been blabbing, you have to kill them. You should know that. If you want to build up a drug empire, if you want to have ocelots or whatever, giraffes gambling in your massive jungle estate.
I preferred ocelots.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah, but ocelots are probably native, whereas giraffes in South America are not native, so they're probably more precious.
Right.
You'd be like a Roman emperor.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, Anyway, there were times in that series where I found myself taking against the Colombian government, thinking, look, come on, all he wants to do,
Make an honest living.
is run a drug empire.
Yeah. Offering a service in a lot of
got-
people's eyes.
Somebody's got to do it. And I haven't seen season 3 yet,
Right.
which is, for various reasons, doesn't involve altogether Pablo Escobar. But he goes off on holiday. somewhere nice. It's all right.
You had me worried for a moment. I wouldn't want anything happening to him. He's such a great character. You can't build up a character like that only to lose him.
The other thing you're going to have to watch, I mentioned this at the curry, Subura.
Right.
Subura. And I recommend
Can you spell
to
Subura for me?
Subura. It's about the sort of Roman... They're not mafia. I think mafia are a different part of the country. But it's about the Roman criminal underworld, and it's fantastic.
Hang on, when you say Roman, you don't mean ancient Rome,
No,
do you?
I mean-
as in modern day Rome.
Yeah,
Right.
Roma. And there are, the best is the gypsy character, the pikey. They are the pikiest you could ever possibly imagine, and I can say that without fear of being got at by the kind of gypsy rights people.
Oh, I wouldn't bank on it.
That's probably true. But you're on their side. I mean, they live in the most tremendously tacky splendour.
Right.
Sort of cheek by jowl.